Hello everyone. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If you enjoy long, clean, text-to-speech friendly deep dives with zero fluff, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the join button to support more stories like this. Today we are focusing on three names that always light up comment sections for very different reasons: Alina, Virgin, and Navruz. One wedding, one vow, and one unguarded moment have turned a private celebration into a conversation about friendship, loyalty, and what happens when a camera catches tears you didn't plan to share. Let's begin with the scene, because settings tell truths that captions can't. The ceremony did not rely on spectacle. It was curated, yes, but never loud. The venue sat like a secret in the city, with a courtyard designed for conversation rather than display. A string trio rehearsed under soft light while event staff smoothed tablecloths as if they were pages of a book. The floral design was restrained, favoring texture over volume, and the color palette stayed close to cream, blush, and the green of fresh stems. This was not a room assembled for a headline, it was a room built for vows to sound like vows. When the procession began, time behaved differently. Alina stepped forward in a silhouette that avoided excess. Her dress moved with her rather than demanding attention for itself, and the veil held a quiet shimmer that showed up only when she turned. Beside the altar, Virgin carried the steady posture of someone who had considered this moment carefully and decided to meet it without performance. If you watched closely, you could see both of them doing the small, protective things people do when they are nervous and honest at once: a breath measured before a line, hands adjusted to avoid trembling, eyes finding each other to reset the rhythm of the room. Witnesses say the exchange of vows felt like a conversation the couple had been having for months, distilled into a few clear sentences. No quotations for you here, because some words are not meant to be recycled into content. What matters is the tone, sincerity without ornament, gratitude without apology, and a promise that sounded like two people choosing the same direction rather than trying to mold each other into a different shape. When the officiant concluded, there was applause, but it didn't feel like a trigger pulled by a host. It felt like relief turning into celebration. Now, about the moment everyone keeps replaying: Navruz standing near the third row, absorbing it all, and then failing, beautifully, to maintain the composure the public often demands from familiar faces. Let's place that moment within a larger story. And Alina have carried a friendship that is both simple and complex. Simple, because it rests on the habits that sustain any bond: showing up on time, telling the truth, keeping jokes kind, offering notes on scripts that help rather than hurt. Complex, because two public lives are always under pressure. Every exchange risks being misread by an audience that loves to narrate what it cannot know. At the reception, the music changed gears. Not louder, just more human. Voices rose, plates settled, people loosened at the edges. It was here that Alp's expression moved from proud restraint to open feeling. He toasted without centering himself, and when he finished, he stood very still, as if staying in place might anchor the emotion rather than let it spill. But that is not how certain moments behave. A single line, meant for the couple, pressed past his practiced control and arrived in his own chest with more force than expected. His eyes watered. He smiled and looked down. He breathed the way people do when their hearts are learning to carry joy for someone else with the same weight they carry it for themselves. There is a temptation to dramatize this into a subplot it was not. Resist that. Tears are not always signals of regret, unresolved chapters, or untold confessions. Sometimes they are the most efficient way a body can say, "I saw you come this far, and I am grateful to be in a room where your happiness is sturdy and visible." Alp's reaction was not a spectacle, it was an act of respect. He did not retreat behind sunglasses or leave the floor. He allowed the moment to pass through him, then stepped back into the evening as a friend who understands that the center of the night did not belong to him. The online reaction, as always, split into camps. One group celebrated the softness of a man's tears as proof that strength does not need armor. Another turned into amateur archivists, building timelines and exporting old photos into new narratives. A smaller, noisier slice tried to fold a tender minute into theories that do not hold up under ordinary light. Here is the simplest reading, and the truest one we have. Alina Boz and Virgin were married, their guests bore witness. One guest, Navruz, loved them both enough to feel it publicly. Everything else is decoration. If you were wondering about the choreography of the night, understand that even the smallest choices were made to protect the promise at the center. The seating chart avoided clusters that create unintended stages. The photography schedule prioritized family and the couple over the river of content the internet would drink in a day later. The couple's first dance happened earlier than most expected, not to rush, but to settle the room. That dance worked like a seal placed on the ceremony, a way of telling everyone present, you can relax, the most important part is complete. In the hours after, Alina and moved like careful hosts. They rotated through tables without lingering, the way people do when they want everyone to feel included and no one to feel observed. There were no grand speeches delivered for applause. Instead, there were small thank yous, returned napkins, the modest heroism of keeping promises to grandparents and longtime friends. The playlist made space for joy without drowning conversation. When the night wound down, it did so responsibly, no spectacle, no sudden exit engineered for a lens. So where does this leave the trio that brought us here? For Alina Boz, the wedding will not be the brand some will try to make it. It will be the foundation she returns to when schedules get heavy and the day needs an anchor. For Virgin, it will be the beginning of a responsibility he seems prepared to honor, to protect the quiet good from unnecessary noise. For Navruz, it becomes a chapter marker. He showed up, he felt openly, and he left the center of the frame to the people who had earned it. That is what thoughtful friendship looks like under lights. There is one more layer to address, because audiences deserve a useful template for how to participate in moments like this without turning them into material. If you want to support, share congratulations rather than conspiracies. If you post, let your captions be about blessing rather than backstory. If you comment, aim for the language of gratitude, not the language of claim. Public figures do not owe us their private architecture, they have given us their work. Respect grows when we remember the difference. Before we close, a final image worth keeping. Sometime after the cake, the couple stepped just outside the reception hall into the courtyard. The air had cooled. The flowers looked less like decoration and more like plants. For a handful of seconds, no one was watching. They weren't posing. They were just breathing together, resetting. It was then that a small group returned to the hall, and now composed, held the door for them without ceremony. He did not ask for attention and did not receive any. The gesture landed exactly where it belonged, in the category of ordinary goodness. If this deep dive helped you replace rumor fatigue with a clearer picture, please like the video, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, and ring the bell so you never miss our next long-form breakdown. In the comments, tell me what you think are the right boundaries for audiences at celebrity weddings. Should cameras be limited? Should guests be asked to keep their phones pocketed for the first hour? I'm curious how you would balance memory and privacy when the people involved are both loved and watched. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and until next time, take care and goodbye.